and welcome back to the Bronze Crown lore. Today we're on episode 8, and we're going to be discussing Golden Age technology and magic. During the Age of the Stars, back when the Celestial Dragons first emerged into the world, they had far superior magic than they do now. On today's episode, we'll be discussing the magical technology of the Golden Age of Dragonkind. This Golden Age was the period between the Age of Chaos and the Age of Blood. It began with the great party of the Chaos Dragons. If you remember in the second episode of the Bronze Crown lore, I told you about the decadent feast of the Chaos Dragons, where the Chaos Dragons turned into the first Celestial Dragons through mass pleasure. Anyways, the period of 1,000 years after that was the Golden Age of the Celestial Dragons. While the Chaos Dragons were still in the Bronze Age, making weapons of bronze and stuff, the Celestial Dragons were making weapons of steel alloys and other more powerful tools. Let's get into some of the magic stuff that the Celestial Dragons made. But before we begin, I cannot stress about how absolutely broken these weapons are. Like, they're absolutely incredible how powerful they are. But anyway, let's get into it. The Bronze Dragons made a set of 31 indestructible armor suits along with 31 indestructible swords. Why 31? Well, it was for the general and his guards. These armor suits made the wearer almost unkillable. The armor had no gaps and it was just one singular piece. It was like almost like liquid armor. It would bend around your body and cover every little gap except for where your eyes are. And even that gap is very small. The eye holes could only be pierced by needles. That's how small they were. And the armor couldn't be scratched by steel. And even the bronze weapons of the Chaos Dragons would shatter on impact with this armor. The only way to kill the wearer would be to hit them really, really hard over the head with a warhammer and break their neck, or to restrict the wearer enough to stick a needle into their eyes. The armor can mold itself around the wearer, and it won't mold around a Chaos Dragon. Only a Celestial Dragon can wear this armor, and there is one last trick that this armor has. If its wearer dies, it will teleport itself back to the vault underneath the Celestial Dragon city, allowing another Celestial Dragon to easily recover it and give it to the next warrior who will wear it. The swords are also awesome. They have a chain around the handle that connects to the bracer of the armor, which means that the sword can never be taken any further than a foot away from the wielder. It can spray fire and shoot lightning, and it's so sharp it can cut through steel armor. The armor is said to be made from a pure snow-white metal, with accents of gold, silver, and bronze. The armor and the sword is also embedded with amethysts and diamonds, making the armor incredibly beautiful. It's scale tight, which shows off the wearer's form and muscles, which makes it seem far more natural, almost like it's part of the wearer's body. It was also worn by royal guards during parties and other special events. These suits of armor were lost during the Age of Blood, and it is theorized that they are underground in the Celestial Dragon City, in the vaults. The vaults have a labyrinth of twists and turns and dead ends, and it is currently flooded, making the recovery of these suits and weapons pretty much impossible. The next item on our list was made by the Silver Dragons, and it is known as the Replicator. It's a device with a compartment that is meant to be filled with sand, and a larger compartment that can fit anything that isn't more than a wing's length in any of its dimensions. All you have to do is put any object in the large compartment, then take it out and fill the other compartment with sand. Whatever item was placed in the larger compartment last will be created out of whatever material it was made of. The magical device literally transforms sand into steel, gold, anything really. The only thing it can't do is replicate magic effects. So if you put a sword into the machine, you would only get out a non-magical sword out of it. It works by rearranging subatomic particles into new matter. So if you wanted to make a golden crown, that would require far more sand than an iron crown. The machine sometimes requires multiple doses of sand, and if it isn't given enough sand, it will only replicate part of an object. This device is also in the vaults, which makes it also impossible to find. The third item on our list is by far the most powerful. It was made by Golden Dragons, and it's called the Warlord. It's basically an AI. It has a psychic connection with every celestial dragon who has ever lived and ever will live. It can pull information from the minds of celestial dragons and process that information to form plans. It can make strategic decisions in warfare, and it calculates thousands of strategies a second. It knows everything that every celestial dragon has ever known, and it calculates possible ways for them to win wars. It is also in control of the vault's defenses. It can close and open doors on its own, and lock them as well. It can control automated mounted crossbows and shoot people with them. It can also control the 31 suits of armor I mentioned before. If a Chaos Dragon puts it on, or a Celestial Dragon who is wearing it goes rogue, the armor will crush them to death inside it, and then the armor teleports back to safety. The Warlord has also developed a bit of a personality, and it is considered to be self-aware by the Celestial Dragons. That's the kind of terrifying stuff the Celestial Dragons had during their Golden Age. These are just the three most prominent examples. There are hundreds more magic items that the Celestial Dragons had at the height of their power. The only reason the Celestial Dragons lost the war was because they were outnumbered 100 to 1, and they just barely lost. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.